So in Form 4 Chapter 8, I think have one of the slightly more confusing punya comparison question. It's confusing rather than hard lah. Now, first, there are two types of comparison question. One is respiratory structure and one is breathing mechanism. Now, both of these is actually not the same, but most of us would think that they are the same, so we'll write the same answer for both. Now, respiratory structure actually means gases exchange structure. The structure that carry out gases exchange, for example, in human, is called the alveolus. Breathing mechanism is the second comparison, which breathing mechanism means how you breathe, how you inhale and exhale. So it's not the same. So for respiratory structure, if they ask this, right, then God bless you, this one is actually the slightly easier one. Okay, so for example, right, okay, every animals, right, have different respiratory structures. Let's just mention the respiratory structure of each animal first. First, respiratory structure and organ is not the same. Now, first, respiratory organ and respiratory structure, right, there are two different things, they're not the same. Respiratory organ is, like for example, our lungs. Your organ help you to breathe. Respiratory structure of human is actually your alveolus, which is inside the organ. So usually the structure, right, is within the organ. It's a smaller structure to help gases exchange within the organ. So for human, it's our lungs, it's our organ, then alveolus is a structure. Now frogs a bit different lah, because frog, right, their lungs straight away gases exchange with the blood capillaries that surround it. So their organ is the structure at the same time. Okay, so frogs a bit different. So for fish, we call it the filament and the lamella, not the gill. This whole thing is the gill. Filament is each of this, and lamella is the structure inside the filament. So these things carry out the gases exchange. So for inside, it's tracheal, not the tracheal system. Tracheal system is the whole thing. Tracheal is this thing that carry out gases exchange directly with the muscle cells, the body cells. Okay, similarities, right? Easy. When they ask about similarities of respiratory structure of different animals, right? Basically you use the adaptation. So every animal, right, actually have similar adaptation for their respiratory structure. For example, remember this three: thin, moist, large number. Every animal got this thin, moist, and a lot large number. However, when we compare that time, right, large number, right, we write it as large total surface area over volume rather than large number. Unless they ask you individually, what is the adaptation of alveolus to carry out gases exchange? Then only we say, oh, has large number of alveolus, large number of filament, large number of tracheal. But when compare that time, we will say the large number gives us a larger surface area over volume for gases exchange. Then you can see have thin and moist. So when it comes to respiratory structure, there are more similarities than difference. And similarities is very easy, just use the adaptation. Now, if they ask us to explain the similarities, then you say, large surface area help me to gases exchange more efficiently. Thin means I can pass through faster, rapidly. Moist means I can dissolve, then diffuse. So dissolve is the keyword. Okay, the fourth one is not every animal also got. So except for insects, fish, frog, and humans have network of blood capillary. Our respiratory structure covered by network of blood capillary. For example, our alveolus got network of blood capillary. Remember, network is the keyword. So insects, they don't use blood to transport oxygen. For insects, right, oxygen straight away go into their body, right? So no blood. Okay, so the explanation is just efficient gases exchange. Then when they ask you to write the difference, the structure itself is the difference, as I went through over it just now. Okay, and then next, right, how large total surface area is achieved in each animal. So basically every animal also got a large number except for frogs. So frogs, right, their lungs inside got no alveolus one. But to achieve large surface area, right, the surface of their lungs is folded one. So we say surface is folded. Then the rest, right, is all large number. Tracheal, large number of tracheal. Fish, large number of filament, lamella. Humans, large number of alveolus. Okay, and then I saw some schema, right? They also write this, means gases exchange occur between what and what. So in insects, it's tracheals and the muscle cell. For fish, it's the filament with the surrounding water. Oxygen go in and out from the water. And then for frogs, it's lungs and their blood capillaries. Human is alveolus and blood capillaries. So I'll show one example question for this one, which is the same thing, very easy. So I have a question here that is asking us to compare between human and fish. So you can see, same like just now. So this one don't need to explain the similarity because it just asks compare and contrast with similarities and difference, around 6 to 7 months sometimes. So large surface area, thin, moist, covered with network of blood capillary. But you remember, you must say, both respiratory structure have thin. I have thin blood. I have large total surface area to volume, have thin, are moist. So you must include this word. Don't just say both are thin, both are moist. Okay, what is thin? What is moist? The respiratory structure. And difference, same thing lah. I don't need to repeat already. Okay, now for the harder one, breathing mechanism. Quite a lot of you will struggle on this one because the difference honestly is quite difficult. Okay, I'll go through the similarities first. It's quite simple. So there are only 3 similarities. Basically, every animal, right, in order to inhale and exhale, we need to have muscle to control our organ to move. So both or all have special muscular structures to expand and contract your cavity. Like our thoracic cavity have a muscle which is your diaphragm and the intercostal muscle help us expand and contract. And when it expand and contract, right, the volume and pressure of the cavity changes. So just like you learned in physics, as the volume increase, the pressure inside decrease. So air from the outside will go from high to low. Exhale just the opposite lah. And then this one's the simplest one. Both involve inhale and exhalation. Now, for the difference, I'm not going to go through one by one. Later, I'll show an example question, but I will let you know what to write. So hopefully this can help you with your exam next time. Okay, these notes will be inside, will be in the description below. It's free for you all, can download, you can read yourself. So I just go through the important things. Okay, which the first 3 one is the easier one to remember. So I put it on top. So number 1, every animal here uses different organ to breathe. So this one's not respiratory structure already, it's organ. So insects, tracheal system. Fish, you say gills instead of filament. Humans and frogs, lungs. Then respiratory aperture means the lobang, the hole that allow gas to go in and out of your body. So for example, human, we use nostril to breathe. Okay, fish will be mouth and operculum because water enters through their mouth but come out from the operculum. And the structure that helps breathing is basically the muscle. Every animal, the muscle different, which you can read through here yourself. I don't want to go through it. Okay, then muscle affects volume and pressure. So for every animal, right, the volume and pressure of what changes is not the same. So volume and pressure is together one point now. For example, in human, we say volume and pressure of thoracic cavity increase and decrease. But let's say, for example, fish is their mouth contract and expand. So its buccal cavity changes. So for frog, got 2. Because their mouth will take in air and push inside their lungs. So they use mouth and lungs to help them take in air. So it's buccal pharyngeal cavity, which is their mouth, and also lungs. And then you have to also explain inhale and exhale that time. What does each of the muscle do? Okay, so I put a notes here already. You can read through yourself. No point I go through one by one, but I will do an example question later. So yeah, inhale and exhale at the time, which muscle contract, which muscle relax. So it's 1 mark each. So if it's asked 10 marks in an essay question, then we need to write last one, which is when you inhale that time, air flows to where? So like the final destination of air, where does it go to eventually? So for insects, it reaches the tracheal. For fish, it goes into their gills. Buccal cavity, where the buccal cavity have the gills, so you must say water flows into buccal cavity. Frogs and also human, the air is enter their lungs. So the final destination of the air. So if you ask 10 marks, then you have to write all of these lah. No choice. But sometimes I see questions they got asked like around 6 marks only. So it's like half essay. So if 6 marks, this would be more than enough already. So easier a bit lah. Okay, let me show you an example question, which I have one over here. Now it's between frog and fish. So similarities, I don't need to mention already lah. All the same. So first we start with the organ. So respiratory organ in fish is gills. Respiratory organ in frog, lungs. Then this is the aperture. Where does air go in and out? So for fish, it's mouth and operculum, as mentioned here. Okay, this one is also the easier one. Frog is nostril. The muscle, right, for fish, right, is the floor of their mouth. So their mouth always go up and down to control the volume and pressure in their mouth, called the buccal cavity. So we will say structures that help breathing are the muscular floor of buccal cavity, because the flow keep on going down and up, like your thoracic, like your diaphragm and that. And also the operculum, because operculum will keep on opening and close to let water out. So there are 2 structures here we mentioned, operculum and muscular floor of buccal cavity. Now for frogs, similar, they use their mouth to also take in air. But in frog, right, the mouth is called buccal pharyngeal cavity. Instead of writing muscular floor, our textbook say it's muscular wall of buccal pharyngeal cavity. So for frog, yeah, this one you need to take note a bit lah. And why got and lung muscle? Because mouth take in air and push in to the lungs. When exhale that time, the lungs got to contract and push the air out. So their lungs help to exhale. Their buccopharyngeal cavity help to take in air, inhale. Then volume and pressure of what changes? Volume and pressure of buccal cavity, their mouth. Frog is buccopharyngeal cavity and lungs. Okay, then during inhale and exhale, okay, there are three things to write for each fish and frog. So during inhalation, okay, the floor lowers. Just like your diaphragm lowers, so your volume expands, the water can come in out, floor lowers. Then behind here, the upper column will close because I don't want to let water come out from the mouth first. So water enter here, here will close. So the upper column closes and the mouth will open. So these are the structures that move when they inhale. For frogs, is floor of buccopharyngeal cavity lowers instead of buccal cavity. Okay, then same young nostril instead of mouth will open so the air can enter. So nostril opens and then glottis closes. Now because for frog, right, their inhalation actually got two processes, which is number one, how air enters their mouth, the buccopharyngeal cavity. So when air want to enter here that time, the nostril open, the glottis will close. Then the floor lowers, so the mouth become big, so the air will enter. But there's also the second step. So second step is, right, I need to push the air into the lungs. So to push air into the lungs, right, the floor will raise. So the volume here becomes more pressure increase. But now I will close the nostril and open the glottis and the air will be pushed into lungs. But when we compare the time, right, you just need to write the first step, how air enter the mouth can already. That's why here I only mention floor lowers, glottis close, nostril open. I didn't mention the opposite of that. Okay, and exhalation for fish is just the complete opposite. The floor raises, the upper column will open, but the mouth closes. So water come out through the side. The upper column, floor raises, upper column open, mouth closes. And then for frogs, right, exhale is completely different. Because for exhale, right, their lungs will still just contract and then push the air. Okay, let's erase all this first. The lungs will contract and then we'll push air all the way out from the lungs, from the mouth. Okay, so inhale that time got two steps. From outside, enter to mouth, mouth into lungs. But when we compare that time, right, the inhalation, right, we just mentioned how the air enter the mouth can already. So that's why just now we just say the mouth lowers, glottis close, nostril open. But exhale that time, I still just use the lungs and push the air out. That's why exhale is lung contract. And then this one, the final destination of the air or water. So for fish, waters enter the mouth, buccal cavity. Frog is enter lungs. Okay, so hopefully this helped to clear doubts over the two different breathing mechanism and also the respiratory structure one. So any questions you can ask in the comment, and I'll see you guys real soon in my next video. Bye bye.